and we just have to split it like right next to each other. But that's a whole different story. Right there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Word.
All right, we're good. Alrighty. So we're gonna count us down. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2. Alrighty, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Slice of Life podcast. And folks, you know the deal. We bring in new guests. We slice them up. We talk about their perspective of life. We do everything here, folks. We talk about everything. And today we're gonna be talking about music and etc. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a guest on here today. His name is Sebastian Dones. Sebastian, wave to the camera. Just say hey to everybody.
What's up, guys?
Now, Sebastian, I'm going to get to like what you do, why I wanted you on the podcast, and et cetera. But how are you, man? How are you in 2020, dude?
I'm good, bro.
Yeah.
Everything's been good, yeah.
Yeah, everything's been kind of like kicking it, like even from like the pandemic and everything.
Yeah, like it was started off like like tough,
Yeah.
and then it got cool, tough, and then cool.
See, dude, everyone gives me a different perspective, and that's the reason why I ask. Everybody, says, "Oh man, it was just so hard." Either loss of jobs, everything like that. I'm just glad that you actually have a good spin on it. So that's like one of the best things to have is a kind of like a positive mindset. Do you feel like that's you?
No, yeah, absolutely. Like, trust me. Like, I feel like being laid off. I know there's been like a bunch of people who've been laid off.
Right.
28,000 people from Disney got laid off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But honestly, like, it's like some people are thinking about it like, man, I just like lost like my livelihood, like. But you can't really like think about it like that. Just think about it like a new way, new opportunities. Like think about it as a way to explore other things besides that.
Right.
And so I kind of like thought of it in that view. And so I basically just went off and just did that. You know what I mean? So
Gotcha.
I basically settled some things for myself.
Yeah.
Things are working out. Things are going great. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you were part of the group, right? You were part of the Disney group and everything like that. And you were part of the 20. I mean, I was unfortunately too. So, So
where did you work again, by the way?
Dude, my DCP was in parking at MK, bro.
Okay.
That's where I started.
Damn, bro,
And then my CP program ended in August, and after that I went part-time merchandise. So from there I worked at resorts. But since I got the leeway with merchandise, I can go work wherever I want. So I took that chance and I went with it, man. I just worked wherever I could because I wanted to go and explore, dude. I liked like working at all these different places and stuff, especially because I can work at resorts and the parks.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah, it was good. What did you do? Was it
at the parks?
Yeah.
So I worked. I was food and beverage at Oga's Cantina and Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and like technically the milk stand and the carts. But I was always like at Oga's. I would always like just put my shifts at Oga's. I never wanted to be at the milk stand.
For those of y'all, how was that, man? How was your experience,
dude?
Man?
It was dope.
We'll start with that.
Yeah, it was dope. It was super busy all the time. Like, you know what I mean? Like when you work in a regular restaurant and or bar, like there's gonna be a lot of times where it's like, dead. It'll be dead. There's gonna be nobody coming in, and then there'll be times where it's like crazy busy, and then maybe you'll be understaffed when it's crazy busy, or you'll be overstaffed when it's dead. Like, you know what I mean? So it's always just like, just very unpredictable.
Right.
But over there, bro, it was packed every second of the day, every single day.
Shoot.
So like there was no such thing as a non-busy day at Oga's. Like everybody in there was making money.
Right.
Everybody in there was busting ass, hustling. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was just like that every day. It was just a grind every single day.
I bet, man, especially because it's like the new land, and that was part of like the Hollywood Studios part, and I bet it would be like Oga's Cantina, just like reservations after reservations. It is a never-ending thing, and it was like I bet that's how it was.
Bro, it never stopped, bro. Literally, we would have lines like all the way going to like how like they have the show with Kylo Ren and the stormtroopers and stuff.
100%.
So Oga's is like maybe 100 feet down, maybe 200 feet down, and there would be a line all the way down just to walk in, and it was just a line for reservations.
This is pre-COVID, right?
This is pre-COVID. Exactly.
Like
pre-COVID.
Like that, you just kind of depict how it looks. Have you ever gone after post-COVID? Like,
yeah.
So
I went one time post-COVID.
How was it? Like from your point of view?
So basically, post-COVID, when you walk in there, it's dead. Like it's not dead, but because of social distancing, they would cut half sections. So basically, there would be like 7 sections of tables in there, right?
Right.
Basically they would cut 3 out in between so that people would be like socially distanced. There was now like bar stools, so you could sit at the bar instead of standing, because like before, you're like shoulder to shoulder there. Now it's like stools,
remember,
like what I mean, like it's space, like it's an actual like cool vibe. Like you're not packed in there with a bunch of random people, you know what I mean? That was dope, but also like not the same. Like it just didn't feel right. You know what I mean?
In the sense of like the pay, or just in general? Just
I'm
like,
sure. I'm sure it affected their pay. Like
100%.
I haven't really talked to the servers there
Right.
about it. I think I have talked to one of them. They weren't really getting like, especially when it started, it wasn't like,
right.
the same.
Right.
But I know they still make like
a good amount.
Trust me,
dude,
yeah.
I still think it's busy.
Exactly.
That's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, it's still like they're still making money there. They still have like people coming in, you know what I mean?
Right,
so
right.
yeah, but it's just basically they just cut half the servers. So like half the servers aren't there. So it makes it possible to make that money for the other half. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you have the other half of servers who just don't have a job. So that's kind of how it works. Damn. But yeah, so like they still make their money. It's not as busy in there, but each server is still going to make the money that they were making before.
Dude,
for the most part, I think.
Yeah, and man, I'm trying to think of like, because I remember a lot of people try to go in for Star Wars, or try to get into Star Wars land somehow, some way, like whether it is by transfer genie or just like putting it in. Was it easy for you just to get out? Because I feel like,
oh, you're talking about like to get a job.
Yeah, like because did you work there before, or did
so that was my first. That was my first location.
Yeah. What the? See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm over here in parking, like busting my ass. You know,
dude. Like I know for the college program, the thing is like it just depends on what time.
100%.
It's all about timing. Like with that, when I got hired, I originally got hired to be transportation at the Skyliners.
Ooh.
So
Okay.
I was hired to do that, and then they were like telling me like, it was cool. I was down with it, and then they said like, you're gonna get drug tested, this, that, and the third, and I'm just like, oh, okay, like cool. And then
and that's where it's like,
and then I was like, hey, so like, and I remember I texted one of my friends. I was like, yo, like, is this like
legit? Like
for
real?
Are they for real, bro? Like, cause you got a job, I know.
Yeah.
Like,
It was the same for us. Like transportation, they had
exactly.
To,
yeah. So then they're like, yeah, dude, it's just anything that you operate in a motor vehicle, like
safety,
exactly,
safety oriented.
And so like at the time I was like, man, like I don't want to do that right now. I can't do that right now. And then so I was just like, so I asked her, I was like, hey, like what about because that's the thing. So I told her, I was like, yeah, that's cool, whatever. I bounced, like, you know what I mean, like I got the job, right? And then like I'm thinking, oh, they're not gonna do anything, you know what I mean? So whatever. They send me the email with like the actual like information, and I'm just like, dang, they're really trying to. So I was like, all right, let me see what's up. And so that's when I asked my friend, and then so I basically called the recruiter, or like the person who interviewed me,
right?
And I asked them like, hey, like is there a possibility I could switch like my position maybe back to like food and beverage, which I didn't want to do. I was like, man, I do not want to go to food and beverage. Like I have no interest in that. Like, you know what I mean? And that's the thing I never had done. Actually, I had, because I used to, when I was living in Denton in Texas, when I was going to North Texas, I was actually, yeah, like the one semester I took off, I needed a job, like just like for like the next 3 months, like just something quick,
right?
you know what I mean? And then so I was like literally like cooking like at a wing restaurant for a second. So I was like, man, I'm not doing that again, bro. I'm done. Like I'm good on that. And so then I asked her, I was like, hey, like, do you have like any openings like in like food and like, actually, can you just switch me to food and beverage? Like, you know what I mean? And she was just like, yeah, we could do that. I was like, real quick, like, and because I loved Star Wars, you know what I mean? I've watched all the movies, watched Clone Wars, watched Rebels, watched Mandalorian. Shout out Mandalorian. That shit is fire.
Shout out to Mandalorian. For those we're like on
bro.
season 2 right now. It's like that
shit is crazy.
I know, man.
Like, have you watched Clone Wars though?
Yes.
So it's good.
I do.
Like,
I haven't started. Don't get mad at me. I haven't started the second season of Mandalorian yet. So this is bro. I know, and I'm waiting. We're having like a little panel here with like other friends and stuff. We're gonna hack. So I watch it and stuff like that. So that's why I'm like,
bro,
it's getting to me.
Man, fuck that, bro. Just watch it.
Dude, it's literally like right there. For those of y'all that don't know, like our living room's right behind us.
Yeah, like literally, yeah, like dude, just watch it, bro. Like trust me, that last episode, I'm sure it's probably already been spoiled for you. I'm not gonna spoil it here. You haven't.
He kind of did. He gave me little hints, but I was like, nah.
That's what I'm saying. If you've seen Clone Wars, dog,
I know, man.
Bro, it's amazing. It's amazing, bro. But yeah, so back to that. Dang, I lost my train of thought on that, honestly.
Yeah, you went to.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I was doing that. So I was like, yeah, I don't want to be in food and beverage, but then I was like, all right, because of the situation, like, yeah, I'm gonna do food and beverage. You know what I mean? And so I told him, I was like, hey, like, do you have any openings in Star Wars? Like, I know the park is opening now. Like, you know what I mean? Man, that would be dope to work there. Like, I want to work there. You know what I mean? I was like, so I asked her, I was like, hey, and she's like, yeah, actually we do. I was like, cool. Throw me in there. Easy. Done. Like, you know what I mean? She's like, all right. And then, like, hung up the phone. I got my location. It said Oga's Cantina.
Damn.
And I was like, damn, bro. Like, I just got the Cantina gig. Like, that's lit. Like, you
people
know what I mean?
would not die.
Like, yeah, but like,
literally
I know there's some people who like don't like their spot where they're at. You know what I mean? They're like trying to get in there. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. I wouldn't like it either. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to work at like one of those really like hokey pokey like Disney spots. You know what I mean? Like, cause that's not really me.
100%. And see, that's the thing. Disney has like, it doesn't matter your personality. They'll find somewhere that you would definitely. And there's people that are very flamboyant that can
You know,
use
like
sort of
love
those,
that shit.
Yes,
they love
yes,
that shit.
Man, yes.
Just, but not me. I'm not the one.
And I know.
You know?
I know, man. I know.
But yeah, so like yeah, I got that. And I remember when I saw it though, I was thinking, I was like, okay, like I'm at the cantina. Am I gonna be bartending? Am I gonna be like a server?
Ooh.
Like, you know what I mean? Like
You
I
didn't
was
even
like,
know.
I had no idea. They didn't tell me I was gonna be like a host slash like they call it what do they call it?
They always have weird names.
A
Yeah,
signer.
They always have weird names like that. But yeah.
We called it updater over there, but at every other like food and beverage, it's called like a signer. Like, you know what I mean? It's like a premium position. But at Oga's, it wasn't a premium position for some reason. Like, you didn't get they get paid extra at other like restaurants to do that position, but over at Oga's, like they found like loopholes to not pay you extra.
Exactly.
Same with like the milk stand. Like, there's like stockers, like who basically like stock each like cart like with product and stuff like that, and that's technically a premium position in ODV outside of Galaxy's Edge. So you're supposed to get paid. You're supposed to get paid like an extra 50 cents or something like that. But they had like loopholes to where it wasn't a premium position, so you wouldn't get paid extra for doing that job every day.
That's weird.
Yeah, which is weird. I always thought it was weird. We tried bringing it up to leadership, and they couldn't do anything about it. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal. So yeah, I was basically just like assigning, like doing host stuff, like just like assigning every section, like bringing in like two people to this section, like, you mean, because there's like it could fill 2 spots, like, right? So I would just bring 2 people, put them over there. It was kind of like playing Tetris, literally. Like, you mean, you just fill in the spaces of each section the second someone bounces. Like, say like there's 4 people at like one section, and then they just bounced, right? And it was a full table. Like, so these tables can hold like 10 people, right?
Right.
Say there was 4, like, so all 10 people are there, right? And there's a party of 4 who just bounced. So then I'm like, all right, let me look at this list of people on the wait list. I'm like, I could put 2 parties of 2 here that have been waiting 10 minutes, or I could put a party of 4 here that's been waiting 8 minutes. And it's better to put the party of 4 because it's usually harder to find a spot for a party of 4.
Especially because you're in a high...
Exactly.
It's like a high
volume, high minutes, like
exactly. everything. Like, you got to figure out like what to do at the
spot. Yeah. And I was real good at it though. That's the thing. There was like a couple of us who were fire at it, and then there was bro, like that's the only thing is that there was like some people who just did not know what they were doing. So like whenever they would be on, bro, the restaurant would fucking, I mean, like the bar, like, bro, the CPs, get those kids out of there, bro. They did not know what to do, bro. Like some of them didn't know. Like some of them were fired. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, like CPs, bro. Like y'all need work. I'm just kidding. But yeah, like I remember there was like one CP, and I was like helping her. You would have 2 assigners, one on one side of the floor, one on the other. And I was helping her because, you know, we had to like train them, but like I wasn't technically a trainer, but they were like, yo, Sebastian, just show her what to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was like, yeah, I got it. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's it's fun. Like, just like, and it's better that way because you're showing someone what to do and you're not really doing it yourself.
Yeah.
So you're not like, you know, like in like it's just a different vibe. Like, I mean, you're switching up like your role at work, which is fun. But like this girl, man, like she just could not get it, bro. Like literally, I swear to God, I remember one of the servers came up to me. He was like, dude, Sebastian, get this fucking girl off the floor, bro. She is terrible, dude. I'm serious, bro. She is fucking up my flow right now. And I'm serious. Like these servers, like they get mad. Like some of them like have like some serious like.
Dude, don't get me wrong. I mean, because one, you're messing with their pay.
You're messing with their money. That's the real reason why.
That's the real reason. I mean, I know. Like I used to work serving, and I had 100%. Like someone doesn't know what they're doing. Like you literally have to play cleanup, whether or not like you want to take on that hassle to take their tables or take whatever.
Exactly.
And you know, it does mess with somebody, especially because it's like, hey, dude, get your shit together. Come on, like let's get it on. Mm-hmm. And if they don't do it, that's
exactly,
it's like it's not a one-man team. Like you gotta fucking like keep it, especially there, bro.
Exactly. So like, don't get me wrong. Like the first battle is like learning how to place the floor, learning when to sit things, stuff like that. And then the second battle is like knowing each server and what they need individually. You know what I mean? Because like I'll have my boy Sean who can just kill it. Have people in there in a, like, you know what I mean, every 5 seconds he doesn't get weeded out. He's on it. You know what I mean? And I'll have like someone else like who's just like, you know, like just a little slower. You know, they're not doing like some of them, you know, some of the servers just, you know, they're slow.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with it.
You adapt to it. You're like, okay, I can
tell who's good with what, who needs a break, you know what I mean? And also I always tell them, I'm like, yo guys, like let me know like I don't want to double seat you, triple seat you like at once, like, you know what I mean? Because I understand, like, now, especially now that I'm a server, like I serve at this spot called Earl's Kitchen and Bar over at the Millennium Mall. It's like this fine dining spot. Pull up, it's fire, food is gas. $16 bottomless mimosas on Sundays.
Ooh,
pull up,
man, I'm gonna have to check that out.
I'm telling you, bro, come through. Ooh. I will get you drunk.
I'm gonna go do that now.
But yeah, like so like, you know, we'll have a couple hosts there. Like there's this one girl, man, she kills it, bro. She knows exactly. And like for me, like I can handle it. So I will literally go to the host and I'm like, yo, y'all know the vibes. Seat me. I don't care. Double seat me, triple seat me. I will get it done. Like, you know what I mean? Some other people can't. You know what I mean? And then also the thing is, like, over there, it's not like Oga's, where Oga's is 24/7 packed. So you're guaranteed like traction and tables. You know what I mean? Yes. At Earl's, you're not. So the thing is, like, at Earl's, it's kind of like I'm seeing everybody and I'm just like, bro, like I need money. Like I know everybody else needs money, but I'm gonna get my money. You know what I mean? Right. So like I will literally go to the host stand and just like, ignore the host, and I grab these people. I'm like, oh, you guys need a table? And they're like, oh, I was gonna go seat them like over here. I was like,
no, it's okay. I got him.
No, I was like, no, I'll take him. Like, you know, because sometimes they're taking too long, you know, to see me.
Sometimes you have to take charge, and
just like,
it's
bro,
okay.
Exactly, it's fine. Like, you know what I mean? They can't do anything about it.
100%.
They're not gonna do anything about it.
Exactly, and that goes all on your work ethic, dude. Because I can tell that you're a work-oriented guy. You know exactly how to like keep everything going efficiently and everything, and a lot of people can't do that, and that's something there that like. You gotta respect, especially in the line of work. It's high frequency and high. Like everybody is like going in and out and stuff like that. But no, dude, respect, dude. I really wish I could like work at Star Wars and Galaxy's Edge.
Dude, it was dope.
I bet, man. This is why I wanted to start off with that. Like, you know, you had like this experience. I want people to know, like, oh, what did you do? How did you ended up right here? And was it done right there? Like you started when?
So I started August 14th. It was like 2 days after my birthday last year in 2019.
Okay.
And then I ended. They officially like laid me off. I think we all got to lay off November 1st, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. The official
one. Yeah. Like we were still on the. I mean, you're still getting paid right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm getting that severance pay now, which is fire.
I know.
You know what I mean? Plus serving, plus gigs. Bro, I forgot to say that. That's the thing. So now I'm like, yeah, bro. It's fine.
That's what I'm saying. Like right now, I know, man. I'm just like, I'm pretty sure you worked your ass off. Like how many, like 40, 50 hours, bro? Like you'd be
actually,
working,
you'd be surprised. I did not bust the ass at Disney, guys. I only worked like 3 to 4 days because I was part time. Because back then, I had a lot more gigs. Like I was like a very like busy musician back then. I remember
that was a good transition.
Yeah, exactly. So I was playing at SeaWorld for a while. Right. I had a gig at SeaWorld. That gig was dope. Damn. Yeah. Paid great. The hang was great. The cats were great. You know what I mean? Like all that shit was great. And then I had like my own small thing with my actual band where we were playing at real venues. We're starting to get a lot more traction and get like real paying gigs to play original music. Because the real thing is like the money is in like corporate work where you're playing, you know, for like parties, events and stuff like that, like top 40 stuff, like weddings, things like that. That's where like the money is for, you know, sidemen musicians like who play like one instrument, who aren't like, you know, because you have like your bands like just like famous bands, you know what I mean, like Glass Animals 975, like all those people, like they play original music and they play real shows, you know what I mean, and they get paid however fucking much they get paid, you know, which is awesome and dope. But the thing is, you know, when you're playing, when you're like, you know, when you're not really there, right, you're not going to be getting that kind of money playing original music. So a lot of like, you know, musicians who play like saxophone, drums, bass, guitar, they play, you know, corporate events, and that's how they get paid playing as a musician, you know what I mean? Same thing with Disney, you know, doing Disney Entertainment.
Yes. Did you ever do it?
So I was never in Disney Entertainment yet. Like, you know what I mean? So
third party, I guess.
So they had like third party stuff, like, you know, the Edison.
Yes.
So I was like a sub at the Edison. It was a third party through this company called Metropolis. But I never had played there yet. I had finally gotten on the list to be like a musician there because one of my boys he was the one who, it's his gig. You know what I mean?
Right. So he just like because you know him.
Exactly.
Hey, come on.
So he had the gig, and then he would always text me. Like the thing is, like I got like 3 dates that I couldn't make because I already had my own stuff going on at the time. So he would text me like, "Yo, Sebastian, like can you play at the Edison tonight? Like, you know what I mean? I need a sub tonight. Pays this much." And I'm like, "Yeah." And then I couldn't actually make it. And I'm like, "Nah, bro. Like just call one of my other boys, and then they would get in. So there was like 4 of us on that list, 4 or 5 of us on that list.
Okay.
And we would just be in rotation. You know what I mean? So there was that with the Edison, and then I was playing at this club called BB King's Blues Club on International Drive.
BB King, you
know about that?
I know a lot of these places, bro.
Really?
Like I love that you played it there.
Dude,
like,
I used to play there. Yeah.
There was like this restaurant. It's like this Italian restaurant that's like right there. It's
Ep.38?
the one, yes.
My boy, the guy playing piano at the wedding gig I played today.
Right.
It was his gig.
Really?
That's his gig.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
at
That's
Edabena.
awesome.
Yeah, we were just talking about that this morning. Actually,
That's crazy.
Because BB and Edabena closed down.
Yes.
Due to COVID.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but I think
like for sure.
He told me that they're gonna open up both those spots at a new location though.
Okay.
Is what I
like
heard.
that location though. Like
those are dope ass locations.
Yes.
Like you know what I mean. But he was telling me, he was like, the independent gig is done right now, but I think the owner is opening up the same spot just somewhere else.
Right.
Just not at iDrive. But dude, that BB King's gig was my favorite gig. We were playing Stevie Wonder shit, Michael Jackson shit all the time.
How it looks in there, just it's
a
phenomenal.
vibe.
It's phenomenal. And I'm not disrespecting any other people that like play other types of music, but it's a venue. They're gonna have to get other musicians that aren't jazz to kind of like portray in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. I just see it as a kind of like a speakeasy type of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like they have the stage, you have like all these places that you could sit at, and it's a great vibe. Like I brought dates there. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is insane. I love hearing jazz there. It was phenomenal. Pre-COVID, by the way.
Yeah, pre-COVID.
Like,
yeah, like with that gig, like a lot of the musicians in the band, they're more like soul musicians, like soul, blues, kind of jazz. You know what I mean?
Let me rephrase that. Yeah, because
exactly.
That's,
no, you were right. You were right. You know what I mean? The second you were saying that, because I agreed. Literally, I agreed completely. Like those guys, those are the soul cats,
right?
In town, like you know what I mean? They play soul music.
Okay.
But all the horn players on the gig would be are usually like the jazz guys. You know what I mean? Right. So like every time we would get called, it's just like all the horn players are always jazz guys, but the rest of the band are usually like soul guys, and they play just that music and that music alone. They don't actually play like jazz, like you know what I mean?
Right.
So, and we would just play the horn parts.
Okay.
But we're like, you know, I mean, usually horn players that play those horn parts are usually always actual jazz musicians on the side.
Here, one thing I'm gonna get my remit for something real quick, but one thing I want you to kind of like chime on is the community, especially how much everybody is influenced by how close you guys are. Doesn't matter like if it's soul or jazz or anything, like all these different people from Florida or from a different state. Mm-hmm. And is that because y'all help each other out a lot, or is it just because you find like, hey, I'm gonna need you to play this part for this gig because I think you can do it and stuff like that? Is it just so we can help each other out in that sort of way, or and is it small or big? So like the way with the community is like, a lot of the guys, like I said, they're not doing really like original music, and they'll be doing like corporate stuff. So basically what you do is you would call, like take for instance, like today, I played a wedding gig at Paddlefish, right? Okay. I got my boy Tom. He plays bass for me all the time, right? Yeah. Say he was busy. He was like, actually, bro, like I'm already booked. I got another gig somewhere else. I'll just call one of my other boys, and then they would do it. You know what I mean? So it's always like that. I always have like a set list of people that I know can play the shit that I need them to play. You know what I mean? But and then the same with me. You know what I mean? Like there's like the saxophone like community, right? There's like 5 or 6 of us guys like in Orlando. Yeah. We all like rotate. We all hit each other up when we can't make something. You know what I mean? So we just sub for each other. Right. That's really what it is. And that's how the community works. So we all kind of know each other. Like I remember you pulled up to that one jam session over in Winter Park. Andrew. Sorry, my bad. I remember you pulled up to that one, like, you know what I mean? You met a couple of my friends. Yes. And then, you know what I mean? So, like, those guys. Basically, you know what I mean? Say I couldn't make something. I would hit up my boy Justin, right? That one cat that you met, right? And so, he was like bigger, but he's playing the cello. No, that's Tom. That's the bass Tom. Player. Okay, I'm talking about the other saxophone player. Bald head. Exactly. Yeah. Justin, man, like he's a cool guy. Yeah, exactly. Cool ass guy. You know what I mean? Like if I can't make, say like I'm like, say someone calls me, they're like, hey bro, like I need saxophone here, pays like $300, right? Right. I'm already booked that day, right? Okay. I already have something going on. I can't make it. And I'm like, hey man, I can't make it, but I have someone else. I'll do the job just as good as I could. You know what I mean? So I'll basically just hit up Justin or hit up my boy Ryan, hit up my boy Andrew. I'm like, yo guys, like which one of you is available at this time? And then one of them is going to be available. Right. And then I just throw it to them. And that's how we work. We always just basically show love by basically just giving each other gigs that we can't make. And that's how we all kind of just like, work literally. Right. But yeah, I mean, for the most part.
that's really what we do.
Yeah, and does it matter? Does it matter if it's like, because I'm pretty sure you met a lot of these people from college and like from university and stuff like that, and you meet other people that are more in their roots, I guess. Like I guess older people.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between that? Because I mean, we'll get to like different jazz things like later on, but is there like a difference between like how you connect with people that way? Because I mean, like you said, you went to UNT and we both went to UNT, and that's why we both like vibed right there. We're like,
I remember that day, yo.
I know, and I was like, I know that you have like this connectivity with the people from universities. Is it because they're taught a different way, or is it just like everybody's taught the same way?
So like with the universities, basically like the way music school works is like you can go to school for classical music.
Right.
You can go to school for jazz music.
Okay.
Like collegiately.
Collegiately.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like, you know, when I moved to Orlando, I was going to Valencia for 2 years because I just decided not to go to university first off.
Smart thing to do for those people. Just got to. I did the same thing, dude, and then I transferred over to UNT.
Exactly. So like I did that, and when I moved to Orlando, I met a couple of these guys because they were still in high school. Some of them were still in high school, like seniors mainly though. Like you know, I was like a freshman in college, and I met. It's so funny because I met one of my best friends, Ryan Devlin, in college. Okay. And the thing is, I was like a classical saxophonist for the longest, right? And then he kind of like, you know, got me to switch over. And then the second that happened, like, you know what I mean, I just took off.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, so like a lot of his help helped me out with that stuff. You know what I mean? He was always a bad motherfucker, bro. Like literally, he's probably one of the best, honestly, like in the country, one of the best saxophonists like in the country. Like he just, he's about to finish up his degree at UCF. He already has like Temple University, like, you know, New England. Man,
he's going up there,
he's got like a bunch of these schools, like calling him, like, you know, a bunch of the professors like, hey, I would love you to do a graduate assistantship over like here, like, you know, we'll pay for your school. All we need you to do is just teach classes. I'll teach you lessons. And it's like some of the best guys like in the world who do this shit. You know what I mean? So like I kind of did that too. You know what I mean? So I went to UNT because UNT is one of the top schools too.
100%.
But I went for undergrad. He went to UCF. UCF I would not consider like a really great program. Like they're good. They have great teachers, but you know, it's just not. I wouldn't consider like a notable, recognizable program. But you know what I mean? Like, it's still a great place to go.
Right.
But now that he's gonna do his grad, he's like, you know, at some point, all the real big places are like hitting up because they know who he is. Like, you know what I mean? They found him on social media, stuff like that, and like now he's like on Instagram, has like almost like 10,000 followers.
Ooh, man,
like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, just doing that. You know what I mean? Like he grinded his social media game, just like saxophone content all day.
Right.
And so like it's dope. You know what I mean? I'm like my social media is like, oh, like, you know, it's getting there. Like I like, you know, I'm getting there.
Man, I mean, regardless of that, you have your what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, and then your band and like your producing side now, and I mean that's all in itself is like something that kind of like you're working on it. It doesn't matter just because you're still gigging and you're still doing that. And it brings me to my next point. And what I wanted to bring up is that right now, especially with COVID and everything like that, like has it always been tough for like somebody, especially for jazz? Like I feel like it's such a niche. Like a lot of people just don't even know about it, or just don't have the excuse to go look for it. You know what I mean? And unless you're an avid jazz lover, like it's so hard to like actually like say, oh my God, these people are really good, or these and this. So what I'm trying to get at is right now, especially, is the way to go social media wise, like with COVID and stuff like that, or has it always been like that, even like pre-COVID?
Yeah. So like with that, that's a great question actually.
Thanks, man. I try to have those great questions.
Yeah. So really, like the thing is, like with social media, you're building an audience literally just by posting shit. Yeah. Like I remember, like the big thing was like Instagram, YouTube. Not so much. Like honestly, you'd be surprised. Not so much Facebook, Twitter. I don't even know like what other social medias you can. TikTok right now is YouTube. The big thing.
I mean, and that's another one. TikTok is a big one too.
To answer that, I know the thing people are doing right now big is TikTok.
Yes.
That's blowing up for some people. Yes. Some people are blowing up just like that. Like two or three of my homies over at North Texas right now, fantastic fucking players. You know what I mean? Not a lot of people knew who they were. Right. Literally not a lot, because their social media game was like garbage. Right. You know what I mean? Which is, it's not a problem. You know what I mean? They're still getting paid because word of mouth. You know what I mean? All the old like, you know, the old heads, like they They will literally like call these guys because they just know they can fucking play. You know what I mean?
100%.
So they're still getting paid, but they're just not, you know, building like a real audience for their original kind of like content.
Yes.
And so I remember like my friend Austin, my friend Chris, they never had like a really big following on Instagram. You know what I mean? They had like maybe like 400 followers, 500 followers, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And so, dude, I remember like Austin just started TikToking, like just started posting like and he's like fucking killing trumpet player, just like insane, bro. Like I'm telling you, insane trumpet player. You know what I mean? Chris, fantastic saxophone player. Like, you know what I mean? But they were never big on social media. They really weren't.
Right.
They were trying, you know what I mean? But it's hard. And then TikTok came, and then they started like posting stuff on TikTok, bro. They blew the fuck up. Like Chris has like 10 plus videos that are in the 300,000 views.
That's awesome.
500, and then one of his videos had 500,000 views on TikTok. And then so his Instagram immediately went from like 400 to 10,000 followers.
That's awesome.
Like I swear to God, in the span of like 2 months. Like
shout out to you, man.
Like, literally,
you're
dude,
doing it.
You're killing it, bro. Like I'm watching. You know what I mean? We haven't talked in a minute, but trust me, bro. Like I'm watching.
Yes.
But yeah, he blew up in a second. Like with 100%. Ryan, he never went on TikTok. He was just grinding Instagram, right. and he got his audience. Like, you know what I mean? If Ryan hopped on TikTok, dude, he'd probably like blow up so quick. You know what I mean? But yeah, like I'm telling you, like right now the game is TikTok. But the thing is, there's not much money to be made though. There is no money. Like from what I've heard, there is no money coming out of that. You're just blowing up though. Like, you know what I mean? You're gonna get an audience to build
noticed,
to other platforms, which is the big part. Like, you know what I mean? So TikTok transfers to Instagram. Once you have 10,000 followers on Instagram, dude, you're set. You know what I mean? So like that's the big thing. So it could transfer itself over. Because TikTok is not really like I said, it's basically like, remember Vine?
Yeah.
Same shit. You know what I mean? Same exact shit. But yeah,
I like TikTok a lot more. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I find like a lot of, because I'm a drummer, so I find a lot more drumming things there. But I know a lot of people that have gotten recognized, and that's the best way to put it, off of just TikTok. And it's just insane how much of that can give somebody power. Like for any musician that's out there, especially like right now. Like it is tough. I guess it is very tough.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yes, it is very tough to like actually make it out there, and that's hence the reason I asked is just because how was it pre-COVID with like finding gigs and everything like that? Because I didn't think it was an issue, bro. Like,
it was not hard.
Just the way you were talking about it.
Yeah, like it wasn't hard. Like I had work left and right. You know what I mean? Especially right before COVID, left and right.
Right.
I remember like so me and Ryan, we have a group called Millennia. It's just like a jazz group. We play original music, and so basically, we were doing really well. We had shows over like a lot at the top venues in Orlando that actually pay for original music, which is the goal. You know what I mean? You don't want to play at spots like, you know, like Austin's Coffee. Like I remember how we were talking about it. You know what I mean? Like I can't fucking play there every Thursday night for free. I can't do that. You know what I mean? Like you get over it after a while. Like like when I was like 18, 19, like it was dope. It was fun. There's an audience there. You know, people are coming to check it out, but it's like, dude, like you're still not getting paid. And that's the real goal. Like, you know what I mean? It's to, you know, make your hobby into an actual like work. Like, you know what I mean? Because, you know, there's always people that like will come up to me and be like, yo, like that's awesome you play saxophone. Like that's a dope hobby to have. And I'm looking at them like, yeah, nah, bro. Like I can guarantee you I make more money doing this than whatever it is you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, so this is not really a hobby. Like that was cute. You know what I mean? Like, but it's like, I try not to think about it like that, but sometimes I'm just like, man, like
dude,
you guys would be surprised.
Ethic, bro.
Exactly.
Like, honestly,
you guys would be surprised where the you know the amount of money is actually in there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Especially here, the hub in Orlando, 100% tourist, and that's the reason I asked is just because you've gotten gigs from like all around Florida. I don't even say like pre-COVID, I guess, but it's insane for any musician to like see that there's potential here.
There is, yeah. Like literally, I remember when I was living in Coral Springs, which is like near Miami,
right?
There is no work there, no work. Maybe like club work, you know what I mean, where you just playing clubs,
right?
Like there's always like DJs that want a saxophone player to just like, you know, play, which is cool. That's dope. You know what I mean? You can make money like that, but it wasn't like, you know, it was just that. Right. I remember I moved to Orlando, and then you start meeting people. And then I started meeting a bunch of people I met, and especially with college, that's the real thing, is that when you go to the college with the professors there, those are the guys who are always playing in town. So once you kind of show them that you can play, they start bringing you on into their gigs. They're like, yeah, there's this kid, like, you know, at my school, one of my students, he's killing it right now. Let's, you know, I'm going to put him on this gig. Right. And so my professor, his name's like Frank, he played, he's played with a lot of people.
At UNT.
People. Right? And no, that's the thing. This was at Valencia.
Oh, okay.
Oh, dude, my professor, Brad Lely over at North Texas, has played some of the biggest things like you could even think of, like Obama's inauguration. He was in the band.
Dude, that
crazy. Played with like Bruno Mars, Usher. I think it was Beyonce who was there.
Yeah.
It was either Beyonce or Rihanna. Like, yeah, he was like, he's done all of those kind of gigs. Like, he's big. Like, he's big. Like, he's played. I'm trying to think like who else he's played with, but for the most part, it's like that kind of stuff. Like, he's the guy. Like, they call him. They know who he is. You know what I mean? So going over there studying with him was awesome, you know what I mean? And he has a lot of connections. He'll put you down, like, you know what I mean, wherever you are. He's like, so I was telling him, I'm going back to Florida. He's like, oh yeah, you should check out these people, like hit these people up, let them know who, like, you know what I mean? And I remember, so I got to Orlando, and then Frank, so there's this group called the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra.
Yes.
They're the band that always, not always backed up Frank Sinatra, but one of the bands that like backed up Frank Sinatra, right? So the band is still like alive. And I remember like Frank, he's the lead trombonist for the group. So, and this is, when you walk into Hollywood Studios,
yes,
all that music, that big band music you hear, that's them. So I'm
learning so much right now. I hope everybody knows that. Like, I love jazz, but just hearing you talk about this, it's just insane how much I don't know about this stuff, dude.
No, I feel you, man. But so like, I remember like I always knew about them. I was like, man, like I would love to be on that gig. You know what I mean? It's all the old heads though. Like that's the problem here. Really, I feel like that's the problem, especially with Disney, is that Disney Entertainment, it's all the old guys. They run it.
That's the reason I asked. Mm-hmm. And it was like the question about the collegiate people, or like the people at universities. Maybe it's easier to to lend a hand, especially when it comes to that. Yeah. But like once you're kind of like set when you're older, I feel like you already have it. Maybe,
yeah, you don't really need to like
do
keep
the
fucking
hustle
with people and stuff like that. You already got your thing. You already got your hustle exactly going. You know what I mean? So I know, like a lot of the guys. I remember the Grand Floridian Orchestra. Like I know all the guys in that group.
Oh, that's crazy.
I know all of them because I played in. There's like this group called the Orlando Jazz Orchestra. The drummer there is the leader. The leader of that group became the drummer of
the big band Orlando. The one that plays like at the ones that I showed you, the ones that play at like the swing dances and stuff like that.
Actually, that's a different one.
This is why I asked, because I know. Yes.
That's a different one. That's not the same thing. We're
going to get to that.
I would consider them, I'm not going to say they're lower end, but they're, yeah.
We'll get to that.
Exactly. We'll get to that, yeah.
Keep going to that
so,
band.
They were playing, a lot of the guys that played in the Orlando Jazz Orchestra played in the Grand Floridian Orchestra, you know what I mean? We're starting the Grand Society Band over at Hollywood Studios because they took them and just put them there. And then that just got shut down, so basically everybody just got laid off, which sucks and is stupid because it's like, dude, like, why would you guys lay off the band of the hotel that is the hotel, you know what I mean? Like
that's
when people go when people go in there, they're expecting that. 100%. The fact that it's not there, like I know there's people who walk in there like who are like, if they're regulars, they're just like wondering like, where the fuck is the band? What is going on here? This is not the same.
I've went and listened to them, man. It's insane. I mean, like anybody that doesn't like listen to jazz, it's crazy to me because I will get to that later. But I mean, whenever I listen to them, especially there, everybody was just kind of like surrounded in the big hub, like right there, and I was like, oh, this is a whole different experience.
Dude, it was dope. Yeah, you know what I mean. And so they got laid off.
Yes,
it is what it is right now. I'm sure they're gonna get brought back because I know they literally signed like there's like a 5,000 people signed like petition to bring them back already. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like it's gonna be brought back. Like I know they've cut off basically everything entertainment for the most part. But like obviously like post-COVID, like I'm sure they're gonna bring some things back. They're not gonna bring everything back because Disney's already been cutting since you know what I mean? They've already started cutting, you know what I mean? Even before COVID. So I'm sure 50% of entertainment that was at Disney before COVID won't be coming back. I'm positive. Like that's just how they work. That's what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? But I know 100%. I'm sure the band over at the Grand Floridian will be brought back at some point. Yeah. I don't know when, but they will be. But yeah, so it's kind of hard getting into there because all those old guys, they're secure. They're like with the union. They're not losing their gig. You know what I mean? All of us young guys, like we want to get in because when we get in, we'll get salary. Yes. That's the thing, is that all those guys are on a salary. And that's the goal, is like, to be on a fucking salary playing music.
Playing music, yes.
You know what I mean? So, and full benefits, full health, full vision, full dental, doing that, doing that, which is the goal. But I remember like you remember the Guardian of the Galaxy ride that's opening up? So they always did a Guardians of the Galaxy show where like it was like a show and they had a saxophone like spot in it, and I was literally on the way to audition for it, and then COVID. Damn. Splash. Literally I would have been on salary if I would have got that job. And I had a good feeling I was gonna get it. Right. You know what I mean? I was ready, bro. And yeah, so like, that's just how that goes.
Man, this is the reason why I wanted you to come on. Especially just musicians in general. I've had drummers, rappers, and I just love so many aspects of music that it's really like interesting to see which way they go. And what I mean is that some, especially when it comes to like rappers and stuff, they really just have to put it out there, and those can kind of hit differently than somebody like you that has to go and like hustle and actually like, this is the performing side of it is what I'm trying to get at.
I feel like with it's not even just like rappers.
No,
like,
and I'm not dissing on them. Like,
no,
you know
no,
what I mean?
not at all,
Yeah,
not at all. Like that's, I understand it completely.
100%,
It's the same thing for any genre of music. Really,
Yes.
is like if you're doing anything original,
right,
anything that's never been already done. Like, you know what I mean? Like, say you just put out a new song. You know what I mean? That's an original song. You're not doing a cover. That's the hard thing to get out, is getting people to actually like something that is brand new. You know what I mean? Something that, you know, they're not, it's like that they've never heard before, literally.
Right.
So that's always the goal. Like with jazz, like I built an audience, especially the real thing really is that the music I play, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I've gone into producing, and I started doing like, I've been doing a lot of house music now, which is dope. I love it. Like it's been so much fun because like, you know, I'm just taking what I already know, because I play piano a little bit as well. So like I'm just taking what I know and just making it into house, just like taking that jazz shit and putting it over to where, you know, a more popular genre, because like, you know, I do want to get music out to people that don't, because, you know, not a lot of people listen to jazz. They really don't, you know, it's probably like the lowest genre right now, honestly.
Yes.
So, you know, I'm trying to like,
I guess make it hip. Make it a fad to where people, and that's why I was saying, like, especially when you put it in the sense of like original music, it comes out as saying it's not going to be as known as in and when you find a jazzy themed hip song that would hit audiences
harder than some real deep rooted shit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I mean, that's kind of like the whole La La Land sort of being a traditionalist, not being a
exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
It's the same. Yeah. Exactly. That movie described it very well, to be honest with you.
Do you like that movie?
No, because it basically took my whole life and put it on screen, and now I can't open a jazz club called Seb's.
Dude, that's so crazy. I just realized that.
Yeah, bro. Like, trust me, bro. When I watched that movie, I was like, wow, they really just took my whole life and made a movie out of it.
The ultimate goal for me is to open up a venue, and
that would be dope.
And it's dope, man. And that movie kind of like sparked it, and it's just Sebastian, man. That's crazy.
Like, no, literally, bro. Like, I remember when I saw it. It literally is a beautiful sign that says Seb's, and I'm just like, bro, this is wrong, bro. Like, like, don't get me wrong, it was dope. I loved it because, you know, it's like Ryan Gosling, bro, the GOAT.
Dude, he's great, man.
He's a pianist. His name is Sebastian.
I love it. It was a great movie. For people, like my roommate hates the movie, and I'm just like, why? What the heck? It was like, it's a good movie.
It was a good movie.
Yes, and going back to reality, because there's a sort of when it comes to that, like trying to depict the genre of jazz, and I guess even just going back to fucking La La Land, but it's just like there's so many types of jazz music that I can understand just because I'm a dancer and a musician.
Yeah.
And then you obviously you know it because it's just like how you kind of not put them as lower tier, that band that we were talking about, but kind of like that is more easily understood for people, just maybe because it's a simpler beat.
That's it, yeah.
You know, and that's probably the best way to put it. Is there maybe like, and just asking you, maybe you could put it in a lower tier or like kind of rate it for you, like. Obviously, music is subjective. People are gonna, but for you, how do you see it? Because obviously, you play a different type of jazz than like people that know of a jazz song. It's gonna be a very
exactly.
You know what I mean?
So that's I would call it like, you know, basically like, you know what I mean, like people like Frank Sinatra, people like I wouldn't say Ella Fitzgerald, but yeah, like think about like people like Frank Sinatra and like Frank Bublé.
Yes,
they're really pop singers.
Right.
Really, if you really think about it, that's not.
Yes, I can see what you mean, and I mean, I'm just saying, like, there is jazz with and without.
It's rooted, it's rooted, like, you know what I mean, like they bring the big band out.
100%.
It's like, you know what I mean, it is like jazz, like, you know what I mean, but you know, the biggest part about jazz is like improvisation. That's always the key thing. It's just like, you know, always just creating.
Explain it, because I know a lot of people are gonna like. Some people just don't know. Maybe just the reference La La Land so much because of that. That's a very known movie. But for you, how would you interpret it?
Basically, like, you know, it's like spontaneous, like composition. You know what I mean? You're literally Yeah, basically improvising. Like that's like, you know what I mean, you'll play a song and then there'll be sections where you just start literally playing things like that aren't written down. Like, you know what I mean? Something that isn't already planned. It's something like basically you would just literally spontaneously play. Like it could be anything. It could be anything, literally.
Okay.
Like with that, like, Frank and Bublé, they're not doing that. They never do that.
Okay.
They play songs from start to finish. There is no spontaneous improvisation within it. That's why I consider it. That's why I can't consider it like that. You know what I mean? Unless someone takes a little solo. You know what I mean? Like I like it like that. Exactly.
The clarinet
you know what I mean?
solo that comes on.
Some
or
shit.
Like
some
shit. Yeah.
And so like, but that's the reason why I don't consider them. I mean, they are jazz musicians. They are, but because like the people who they're affiliated with, the type of genre of music that they're singing, but really they're not, because they're not improvising. Like, you know what I mean? Like Ella Fitzgerald, she scats. Like, like,
yes.
even like for all you Disney people, like I know a lot of like, you're like, a lot of like Disney people, right? Mm-hmm. Like I know there's a song like a tisket a tasket, like I'm talking about, like a tisket a tasket, something, you know what I mean? Like
you can sing it, bro. I mean,
yeah, I don't really know it, honestly. That's like I don't really remember it, but yeah, like she scats, like she'll scat, and like she does like a vocal like improvised scat solo. Like that's why she is a jazz singer.
Okay,
you know what I mean? And that's also just like old head music. Like there's a bunch of brand new music, brand new jazz that is coming out today. Like literally, you know what I mean? I have like a bunch of like people who I listen to. Don't get me wrong, like I listen to everything. Like I love rap, I love Lil Baby, I love Gunna.
You're not just a jazz guy.
Yeah, like you know what I mean? Like I don't always like you know what I mean? Like I love everything. I listen to everything. You know what I mean? But I still like have my appreciation. It's like a guilty pleasure. That's how I look at it, to be honest with you, because not anybody does it. Like, you know what I mean? I can't name one person on this planet or like one person at Disney that I know that listens to the music that I listen to. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's literally like a guilty pleasure. Like it's just something for me. You know what I mean? And it's not something that I'm like looking to like be like, oh guys, like you got to check this out. You know what I mean? Like, wow, you don't like this? You're fucking weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, because like I know it's not.
You're pretty humble with it.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like so I'm like, no, like it's a guilty pleasure. It's just something that I do because it's something that I studied. It's something that I've like taken the time to appreciate this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? But yeah, like I said, like I still love like all that other like all that other shit. Like, you know what I mean? I love it.
You have to, man. You have to. It inspires, I guess, new hits, new play. Like it inspires a lot.
Yeah, like I'm trying to like think of somebody who kind of like has been like somebody who's pop that's been kind of diving into that realm. I'm trying to think like of an artist specifically.
Like a very poppy, I would Bruno Mars?
But like no, but like
who are you talking about?
Who's kind of taking the jazz stuff and putting it into their music.
You don't think Bruno would do that?
He's still on the pop. Yeah, he's still too 100%. Much. Yeah,
he's
still
way
too pop.
mainstream.
More funk, like you know what I mean, soul
there
pop.
You go. Yes.
Trying to think. Like, have you ever heard of like Moonchild?
Yes.
Dude, exactly. Like Moonchild, they are dope as fuck. Tom Misch. Have you ever heard Tom Misch?
Yes.
I'll put you on. Trust me. Don't worry.
But do you feel like it would be like indie? Like that would
it's
be
like it's like alternative / indie.
Yes.
/ soul,
yes.
Like you know what I mean, but
it has its own subgenre.
But it still
music.
Like has like a pop vibe.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
Still has a pop vibe, but they're more rooted. They still like you could tell they took the time.
Right.
They took the real time to like put like these are great bands, by the way. I would recommend checking them out.
100%.
But yeah, like people like them, like you know what I mean. That's like what I feel like people are starting to get attracted to, like where it's still rooted. It still has like a foundation of jazz. Compared to like other music like Bruno Mars, like you know what I mean, like yeah, he has horns on his like
like he has.
It doesn't mean it's jazz.
No, and that's the reason I ask. I mean, though maybe you can kind of chime in, but like Big Bad Daddy Voodoo Band, like
Big Bad Voodoo.
Yeah.
I don't really check them out, but yeah, they're like I would consider them like funk, like just real funk, like Tower of Power, funk, Earth, Wind and Fire, funk. You know what I mean, soul funk.
Yes,
that's like it's still rooted, it still has that foundation. You know what I mean? Like really, honestly, guys, like jazz basically created everything, by the way. Like you know what I mean, like everything that has been like it's kind of like a one of those like little trees, like little pyramids, right?
Right.
So like jazz, rock, blues, soul,
jazz
funk,
created everything.
It all started there. You know what I mean? It all started there, and it all just like branched out.
Right.
Even electronic music, EDM, like you know what I mean? Like you guys listen to like Grizz or like Big G, like you know what I mean? Like I remember like I didn't even know these people, like someone introduced me to them, and like you know what I mean? Like these guys, like Big G is like this super famous fucking EDM guy, super famous, has a huge following, and he's a jazz musician. Like he went to Manhattan School of Music and studied with like guys that I listen to all the time that are jazz musicians. Like you know what I mean? He's a saxophone player, and then he just took that and went into the EDM thing.
Yeah,
and now he's huge. Huge.
One of the best things that I can kind of like, especially when it comes to that, is EDM, like it's how electro swing, like I don't know if I brought this up to you, but it's just like not really known here, but it's kind of like a very old-fashioned EDM.
I know exactly
you know what I'm talking about.
I can hear it in my head right now. But
right.
The thing is that Big G actually does like some of that stuff. Like,
okay, so is it kind of like that in that realm?
It's not always like that. He does do more. It's basically like straight up EDM, and then he adds saxophone. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But he has like a couple of songs that I already know what you're talking about. It's like a
I dance
like postmodern like jukebox type stuff, but it's EDM though.
Yes.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's a small niche, but
it's a very in America. Like
exactly.
You take it's like Europe and like Austria, like
they check that
Russia,
shit out over there.
Dude, they do, man. I'm part of this. It's called electro swing thing, and they put me in their catalog as one of the dancers. And after that, I kind of like started listening to a lot of their music and stuff. So they want me to kind of like dance to their music a lot more, make videos and stuff, just like, so they can get known and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'll do that for you. I like their music.
Yeah.
But is that where jazz is going? Like per se, like is that
no.
Okay? So this is what I'm saying. Like this is just another branch.
Yeah, that's just another sub thing. You know what I mean? It's a subgenre, exactly. You know what I mean? Like I said, funk subgenre,
right?
Rock subgenre,
yes.
Synth pop subgenre, house subgenre. Like you know what I mean? K-pop subgenre, like you know what I mean, all literally just branches down like that. Electro swing subgenre, you know what I mean. I still know, like I said, like there's still guys who are like really deep rooted, who are still like pushing like the boundaries,
right?
Like when it comes to that kind of music every day, like especially. But the real thing is, it's not in Florida. It's not anywhere else but New York, LA.
Orlando's like the biggest one, I guess you could say, here in Florida. That's even a stretch. That's a stretch.
That's like reaching.
Hard
you know
stretch.
what I mean?
Because the only reason I'm saying that's just because of the tourists. Disney,
exactly. Yeah.
like what I'm saying.
Exactly. Yeah. So Miami and Orlando would have actually, especially Miami. University of Miami is a fantastic program for. They have one of the top programs in jazz.
Yeah.
Like it's arguably just on the same exact level as like North Texas. Maybe it could even be better. You know what I mean? So I know a bunch of guys who are down there right now studying who are fucking bad motherfuckers, like insane guys, like you know what I mean. So you can find people everywhere,
right?
You really can. But the thing is, where the original real music is being listened to and really played is like New York and LA,
Atlanta, New Orleans
too. Yeah. New Orleans too. Atlanta, like there's still original music being played in Atlanta. Like I know a bunch of guys out there who are really good. But it's just not too heavy. Colorado is like another spot, you know.
True. I mean, it's a new hip thing. I feel like younger people like. I mean, dude, I'm listening to vinyl, and I think vinyl is just like it came back for some reason. But it's just like, you know, jazz definitely has as a thing for younger generations. I think. Do you think I'm wrong? Like,
that's the thing. I feel like like I was gonna go into that, like
you can
basically like with the really new music,
right?
That, and it's the thing is, like, not a lot of people know it, but they still have followings. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's this guy I've been checking out a lot, Joel Ross, Emmanuel Wilkins, like these, dude. I'll show you after. They're insane, bro. They're playing a bunch of original music, but they have followings now. Like, you know what I mean? They have actual followings. Like Emmanuel probably has like 15,000 people like who like actually listen. Like, Joel Ross is like verified. Emmanuel and Joel, they're both verified like musicians. Like, you know what I mean? And then like there's like also like these new groups like Ghost Note, Snarky Puppy. I'm trying to think of like another kind of like my old teacher. He used to play with Taylor Swift like way back then. He was like her saxophone player.
Right.
During I forget which album it was. I think it was like, is it 1980? Like
probably.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like the last jazzy song that she played, but it's
but like I said, it's not horns.
Yes.
Just because they're horns doesn't mean it's jazz. You know what I mean? Does not mean it.
Explain to me this. Okay, so Benny Goodman, is he a composer?
He's a clarinet player, composer. Yeah.
What I'm trying to kind of clarify.
Big band leader.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what is he most known for? I guess is like the best way to put it, because is it like his clarinet ability, or is he big? Like,
it's just whatever. That's like, no. I wouldn't consider him like a clarinet player that people actually like study. Like, you didn't take the time to like, oh, like, dude, he's a bad motherfucker.
You see his name on almost a lot of these different things.
It's because of his big band though. It's the music.
Okay, so
so that's what he's famous for.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Is there a correlation with that? Like, especially like, I guess it was more known back in the day.
Yeah.
Than it is now. Is it just more on the single player now? Like you being the only saxophone, like you can have your own sort of following than like as a musician than you could as I guess a composer or something like that. Does that make sense? Do you understand?
Well, yeah, for sure. Well, the way I think about it is like I know what you're saying.
Because I look at it as a drummer. As a drummer can literally do his own pum pum, and then like, can he just get famous off of that, or does he have to have something specifically?
That's the thing. Yeah, I feel like they could. Like my friend, like that guy Ryan.
Right.
For the most part, I don't think he's like written like some original stuff, but he hasn't actually put anything out. Like he hasn't he hasn't put any like super like original-esque content out.
Right.
So people follow him because he's just an insane saxophone player. Like he just fucking shreds, can like play insane stuff, insane patterns, stuff like that. And people were like, man, like dude, that's so admirable. Like, you know what I mean? Like the technique that he has, like not a lot of people can do that. You know what I mean? But he hasn't like, you know, really like started like venturing into like, you know, original music, like composing and stuff like that. Right. But the second he does, dude, like that's when it's like, okay, he's gonna be a real artist. You know what I mean? Right. So yeah, like, you know, like, but that's the thing. The second you're starting to write original music and people start listening to your original music, that's when they start thinking about, like, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. Like, there's some people who like have original music that are like saxophone players or like drum players, drummers. You know what I mean? This, that, and the third.
Right.
They and like they still look at them as like, oh, he's just a bad motherfucking saxophone player, bad motherfucking drummer. You know what I mean? Like they don't think about it like, oh, he's an amazing composer, but some people do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, but yeah, like that's kind of basically what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I always find it fascinating because I look at it from, I mean, just the vinyl records alone. It's just like Benny Goodman, his orchestra, and like. It's like it just kind of dawned on me. It's like, is he more known for his composing ability,
or his clarinet playing? No,
or his clarinet playing?
The,
you know
the solos are famous. You know what I mean? The clarinet solos are obviously
Yes.
famous. Like they know him as a clarinet. He is a clarinet player.
Right.
People do know that, but obviously he's just famous for the song.
Right.
The songs, like, you know, the Glenn Miller Orchestra.
Right.
Glenn Miller is
another one.
Great trombone player.
Yes.
Nobody fucking cares that he plays the trombone. They just care about In the Mood. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like that's exactly Like I mean, so like at that, you know, in that aspect, like no, they're thinking about his songs. You know what I mean? So yeah, basically that's
because and that's the thing. I just feel like a lot of people go that's the best way to start off, and then it just
and then
launches
you
them.
Yeah,
right.
Because you need to find a way to like first create your voice.
Yes,
that's the big thing. So you know, like, you know, Glenn Miller, trombone player. That's how he started. That's his voice. You know what I mean? Like he's not a singer, and then like, you know what I mean? Like that's how he started off.
Right.
That's his way of getting it out. You know what I mean? And then, you know, you start writing for a big band because, like, you know, you start realizing that music is very universal. It's not like you can only play trombone, you can't do anything else. You know what I mean?
It's a very universal thing.
Exactly. So like basically, you know, once he got past learning how to play music on the trombone, it's like, okay, now I know how to play music. Now I understand music.
Okay.
Now I can start writing music.
Yes.
So, you know, he starts writing music, writes that for his band, arranges it for the band, you know what I mean? Like that specific setting. Like, you know what I mean? You can write, he could have wrote for like just drums, bass, and piano, right? And then trombone, and then he'll play melodies on trombone. But no, you know, he has a big band, so he writes all these individual parts, like all these chordal parts for each section of, because, you know, there's 4 trumpets, 4 trombones, 5 saxophones, right? Yes. Plus the rhythm section. And then, you know, and that's basically how it comes out, because, you know, he already understands music. He found a way to figure it out. You know what I mean? He found his way of getting it. You know what I mean? Most composers, like most very like famous composers, are usually like pianists or something like that, because they see everything. You know what I mean? Yes. Or like guitarists, like, you mean, they can see everything, right? So like, you know, you usually start off like on your, like, say like, you know, him, like he's a trombonist, or like I'm like a saxophone player. You start off doing that. That's how you learn. And then you venture into like, okay, now I need to like understand chords. I need to understand harmony and stuff like that a little more than just like in my head. Like, you know what I mean? So like I started learning piano, I started playing chords, started learning a bunch of chords, like, you know, stuff like that. And I'm like seeing it physically, like literally looking at it. I'm like understanding like how it all makes sense, how things like lead into like, you know, like the next chord and stuff like that, things like that. So, and the thing is, like, it's not hard to learn another instrument once you already know one. You know what I mean? Because the music aspect of it, the theory, is already here.
Right.
So it's not like I'm learning piano not knowing what I'm gonna, like, not understanding it. You know what I mean? Like, you can figure it out. You know what note is which. You know what I mean? And it's all about getting the hands going. You know what I mean? And figuring out where things are placed and like technique and stuff like that. That's what the barrier becomes, because once you like basically like, you know, play one instrument, like, you know how you play drums, you already understand rhythm for days. You know what I mean? You know rhythm. You know what I mean? So like, I don't play drums like that. So that's probably my biggest problem right now is being like rhythmically exciting. You know what I mean? So like when I'm like producing like house stuff or like just whatever, like some pop stuff like that I'm trying to do.
Right.
My thing is like now I'm like listening to all these like recordings of people I like and listening literally just to drums. Like
Yes.
I don't even pay attention to like the actual music going on. I'm just listening. I'm like, oh, that was cool as fuck. You know what I mean? What did he do there? Like, you know what I mean? Let me try to recreate this. And then maybe after I recreate it, let me try to expand it and then turn it into something completely else. You know what I mean? So like, that's my biggest like thing that I'm working right now is just trying to be like a little more rhythmically exciting.
Gotcha.
Because I don't get it because I'm not a rhythm player. I've never played drums. Like, you know what I mean? And so I literally started playing drums. I started playing basic shit. You know what I mean? Just casually, like I'm like, because I've learned piano.
Right.
So like, that's not hard for me. And then knowing piano, you know how to play bass notes. You know what I mean? So like basically like when you're producing, you just play the bass on piano. You know what I mean? I don't have to actually play the bass. But like if I really want like authentic, I'll just hit my boy up and be like, yo, can you just like lay this down on this track? You know what I mean? Sometimes like if I'm really like trying, like if I really wanted it, you know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, so like that's like, you know, a big thing I would say, like, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying, like with music, like I already understand the music theory. So I don't need to go over that when I'm learning another instrument because I already know it. It's not going to change, you know what I mean? But like, exactly. So, you know, drums is all about rhythm. It's not really about theory, like, you know what I mean? Harmony and stuff like that. It's really just about rhythm. So
keeping time, tempo,
stuff like that.
Yes,
you know
in that same realm.
Yeah, so like you know, like that's probably my weakness right now is that, and so I'm working on it by listening to a bunch of drummers, listening to like just like pop music, like or like house music. House music is super easy because you basically just play like a bass 1, 2, 3. It's literally just
really on a four time. Yeah,
exactly. It's 4 on the floor type
Yeah.
shit. You know what I mean? Like, so that's not hard. You know what I mean? But then it's adding like those little flicks in between and stuff like that that could be cool. You know what I mean? But now if I wanted to get into like pop or like synth pop or like indie, where they actually use drums, but sometimes you can just use like little MIDI stuff to create those sounds. You know what I mean? Which is what most people actually do. Yeah,
we'll get to that, the technology side of it. But that brings up a really good point. And what I'm trying to say is there is a creativity thing that goes a very long way when it comes to just not just jazz and just playing the music. And what I'm trying to get at is because my brother, he is a producer also. Like he's the one that kind of introduced me to the where everybody just kind of I understand that. But do you feel something different, like, or even feel, or there is a difference between those two things? Like, you can recreate it on there, 100% accurate, I guess, like that. But this is the reason why I like jazz so much, is because the creativity on that isn't so basic. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Am I trying to make it make sense on this end? Like you know what I mean? Am I trying to figure out that all the creativity that is what from jazz is just like ad lib, like you can literally create it on the spot.
Exactly, which is where it comes back to improvisation, spontaneously composing.
Yes, and I don't know. Like I guess what I'm trying to say is like, is there like a recreation of that on the technology side? Like, do you already have like a set beat and just put it on there, or is it just a recreation of like the ad lib stuff? You know what I mean?
Like when you're talking about like producing.
Yes.
So basically, like for producing,
because you're messing in the producing side also.
I'm thinking more of as like a composer, like instead of like an improviser. Okay. Really. But also like, you know what I mean? Like say like I'm like thinking of like a melody to put out, or like a chord progression. Like I'll fuck around, like, you know what I mean, and just hear random shit and try and see like what lays like better with what, you know what I mean? Like there's also super basic chord progressions, like, you know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Does it have to get basic?
Does it have to be basic? No, not at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like I've definitely listened to like, you know, like I'm trying to think. It was so funny. I just noticed this the other day. Like there's this like you know, Take Care. I mean, not Take Care. Marvin's Room.
Oh yeah.
By Drake.
Yes.
Super easy chord progression. It's literally just like a major 1, major 2, minor 3, major 2, major 1, right?
Right.
And then so that's super simple, super easy. And then I'm like, okay, like this sounds great. You know what I mean? He created his song based off that, and then he used that rhythm, like, you know,
done.
You know that bass that he has, right?
Right.
And then like I was listening to like this song Somebody Else by the 1975. They use the same exact chord progression.
So this is why I'm saying, because if you ask any producer that doesn't maybe just dabble in jazz, maybe they can just create the most simplest thing. But that's the reason why I'm asking you, can you recreate, or is there a recreation of what you do at like ad lib into that? Or is it, simpler?
So like, I feel like the ad lib is more on melodies.
Okay.
More on just like, like the like melodic aspect, right?
Gotcha.
Like I always, whenever I'm thinking, I always try to like come up with a very strict chord progression. I don't really fuck around with it.
Yeah.
Like I always like think of like, I'll figure out the idea, I'll practice and find something that I like, and I'm like, this sounds great.
Yes.
Let me vamp this. Because, chord progressions, they're always like, for a lot of like, pop songs, basic songs, they're always like 4 bars or 8 bars. And it's always the same thing repeated. You know what I mean? Sometimes some songs will change like something a little bit in between, like a bridge or something like that, where they'll change the chord progression, right? But, so like it's pretty strict for the most part. But then it's like the melodies is where you can start like just playing some random stuff and start like, just spontaneously, like, you know what I mean? Like I'll put the chord progression out and then I'll take out whatever it is, like sax. Like it's not even like, I want sax on this, right?
Right.
But it's the easiest way for me to play something that, like, just to play a melody. And then, like, say I find something, I'm like, okay, like, this sounded good. Like, you know what I mean? I can just do this. And then I'll just add it. I'll just play it on piano and pick whatever sound off, like, Logic or, like, you know what I mean? Or, like, whatever patch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That I like, you know what I mean? Whatever synth patch I want.
Right.
And then I basically play that same exact thing because I'm like, oh, I just heard this. Oh, this sounded dope. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then so I was just like, I just heard this in my head, like, or / like, playing that, and then I'll put it there. You know what I mean? And then just I click record, put it there, stop, right? And then adjust in between, and that's when it stays strict, though. You know what I mean? It becomes strict. Like, at the process is like more free, more ad lib, for more like improv wise, right? Because I'm coming up with original content. You know what I mean? The chord progressions, sometimes can be original. I can come up with a completely original chord progression, like, you know what I mean, that I didn't take from somewhere,
right? Or
I can take some stuff from somewhere and then maybe mix it up, like, you know what I mean?
This is what brought up the question. It was that does it have to be played live, or is it the recreation part that is like the same, and can it be the same as playing it live? Because if I look up like a record or something like that, obviously they didn't have like the technology, but can that be recreated, or does it have to be specifically on the ad lib side of creating it, boom, right there on the spot?
No, it could be recreated.
Okay, is why that's exactly what I was asking. I was like, whoa, okay, and you're making a lot of sense. I know a lot of people that don't know music, they're just kind of like, okay, chord progression, this, what is it? Okay, I don't understand.
You can literally recreate, like I said, like, like
everything,
like, Drake had that one song, right?
Right.
I'm sure there's probably a bunch of other songs that have that same exact chord progression, right?
Yes.
Not just like the other one that I mentioned. And basically, like, I remember, like, I was listening to this, like, there's like this Canadian composer, Kenny Wheeler. He has a song called Kind Folk. And it's the same exact chord progression too.
Okay.
It's just like the 1, 2, 3, like major 1, major 2, minor 3, right?
Right.
But he does it more jazz, where he adds extension notes to make it like it's just like basically extension notes are just like adding extra notes on top of that chord.
Right.
Like whereas like the pop guys, they'll play the 3 notes, like a triad, right? That's just like super basic. Whereas he'll add like extra notes, like maybe like, obviously it's getting more into theory stuff, like where like you'll add like 7s, 9s, 13s, sharp 11s, like things like that. Like it's basically stacking on top of that to make it sound more unique and like basically something like you've never heard before.
Yeah, it sounds like something totally new.
Exactly.
Yes.
Which is kind of under that realm. You know what I mean? Like there's still other people like like the basic pop people who will play brand new progressions, like, you know what I mean, that are new, that you've probably never heard of, but they're still pop because they don't add those extensions. That's the reason why I feel like a lot of people listen to pop more so. I mean, not necessarily just because of that, but that is one of the reasons, because it's so much more basic. Yes. And it's much easier to like, oh wow, this sounds so pretty, like this sounds so like, it's just easy on the ears. That's the real thing. You know what I mean?
This is a good like transitioning. Especially for me, because I was going to ask you, what do you feel? What do you feel when you listen to jazz? Because I mean, like, my heart starts racing. Like, I guess it's just like, maybe I feel the exact same way if I was like listening or anything live, but it's like, and I hate quoting La La Land or paraphrasing La La Land, but it's just like, it's conflict, it's resolution, and you just see something and then somebody else can take over it, it just kind of follows up on each other, and it's just kind of like, I'm sweating just looking at just like, holy crap, dude, this is crazy stuff.
It's so much more like, it's much more fun to listen to it live.
100%.
I feel like it's harder to put someone on not listening to it live. Like say you go to like, dude, like I recommend anyone, if you're going to New York or like LA and you're like finding something to do, bro, just take the time. Go to Smalls, go to the Village Vanguard, go to the Blue Note, and listen to one of these motherfuckers playing, bro. Like, they do the craziest shit you would have never heard. And it's like different live because you're just watching someone like literally just create something so special that you've never heard before. Because like, you know, like with like, you know, your regular favorite bands that you like, they're playing exactly what you like to hear. They're going to play it the same way every time. And that's what you want. You know what I mean? You're like, man, like, oh, I could sing along. Like, you know what I mean? It's like whoever, like, I'm trying to think, like Billie Eilish or some shit. I don't even listen to her. But, you know, like, say you're a big fan, like, or like, damn, I'm like blanking on like artists right now, but like, you know, say you're like a huge fan, you know her song, you know what I mean? You're gonna go to her concert, you're gonna sing that shit with her, you know what I mean? Because you're a fan, like, you know what I mean? But with this shit, you're watching something brand new every single time, and that's the difference between that and that. Because if you're listening it like the way I listen to it, it's because my ears are curious. I'm curious. I want to hear something I've never heard before. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, so I'm sitting there and I'm like, fuck, this was amazing. Like, dude, that was just like, bro, what just happened? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's always just being curious. Like, you're like, dude, I can't even comprehend like what I just saw, but I just know it was amazing. You know what I mean? 100%. And like, I loved it. But like, whereas like, I'll go see my favorite band and I'm like, all right, like they're going to do the same thing every time. And like, I'm there for it because that's what I want to hear. You know what I mean? But it's like two different ways to think about it. When you're going there to listen to them, like, you know, some shit like jazz, like you're going there for the experience. You're going there to experience something you've never experienced before, because that's what it's going to be every single time. It's 100%. Never going to be the same. It will never be the same every time. You know what I mean? That's the special part about it, is that you're going to see something that is not going to happen ever again. You know what I mean? It could be the same exact artist going somewhere down the street to play the next night. He's not going to play the same thing. He could play the same song, but it's not going to be the same that it was before. He's going to play it a completely different way, and that's special. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's what brings up my question about the whole thing about like recreating that whole on the studio setting and then just playing it live. And it's just because it's always new. It's always something totally different. That's why I asked. I'm like, how does that make you feel like when you listen to it? Like maybe the first time you've ever listened to it, and it's just like, no, it's like it's actually what it actually sounds. It's something new. If there are like actual good jazz players that are actually up there, and you're gonna hear something completely different than somebody else 2 hours later when they come back on stage, and that's the most respectable thing I can say about jazz. I mean, can you agree with that, or is this just
exactly? It's like I said, it's special. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you know what I mean? You're just gonna hear something completely different every single time. It's not gonna be the same. It will never be the same. Yeah. And that's the whole point of like it being spontaneously composing. You know what I mean? Like even like they could be playing the melody of the song that they're playing before even getting into like the improvisation aspect of it. The bass player could completely do something completely different. The drummer could play a completely different rhythm just because they feel like it. You know what I mean? Like, and they could just fuck around like with it. But it always sounds good with the people who are really good at doing it. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. It's tough to listen to when it's a bunch of guys who are not that great. That's the problem. I feel like a lot of people go to listen to this music are always like, you know, going to the local place with a bunch of guys who kind of know what they're doing. Kind of know. But if you know like where the real spots are and you know who you're going to listen to, it could be really special. It could be something you've never experienced before. You know what I mean? You could literally, I'm not saying you have to listen to it. Like, you know, you don't have to like go home and like be like, oh man, I love that. Now I have to go listen to it all the time. You know what I mean? But just like it's just special like live, because you're watching a bunch of guys who really know what the fuck they're doing and can really just like create a vibe. You know what I mean? Like just spontaneously create a vibe, you know what I mean, that you're never gonna hear before. So
that's crazy.
Yeah,
dude, when did you start? Like I said, like what like got you into it? Like,
dude, it's so funny, that question. Like every time I get asked that question, it's just like, it's always a funny answer, because the answer is hilarious. I remember I was like,
want to hear something funny? Yeah.
So you know how like a lot of people usually start like, you know, in band, like in middle school or something like that. I mean, also like like band, whatever, you know what I mean? Like I like don't like, I'm a musician, bro. Like don't like associate it like that. They're two different things, you know what I mean? Band is band, cool.
Are they? Okay, explain it.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like you're doing it, like, you know, marching band, cool, like whatever, you learn there. But the second you get out, it's all about becoming original after that.
Yes.
Finding a way, like, you know what I mean, to like make what you learned there into something that could be cool as fuck.
Right. You're technically following orders until like you're like, okay, now I can try to like create my own voice with that.
And it's like so like whenever someone's like, oh, you're like a band kid, I'm like, no, bro. No. I don't know who that is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, dog. Like I play saxophone. Like,
it's like that's just my daytime job.
Yeah, like that was like some shit that I did. Yeah, like you know what I mean? But no, now that's post that, it's like I'm actually working on original things. Like I just happened to learn there. You know what I mean? That's where I learned all the basic stuff. Right. Which is important because like, you know, a lot of people who don't do that, who are like rock musicians or this, that, whatever,
Yeah.
they don't know what they're doing because they've never properly been taught. Like, you know what I mean? Some people like, you know, and that's the cool thing is that like some of these super popular bands actually have guys who were taught.
Right.
And you'd be surprised. You wouldn't know that they were. Like I said, like, you know, like Big G, right?
Right.
That man went to one of the best colleges in the country to go to and study with some of the most like fantastic musicians on the planet that are so low-key that you would never have known, that are so smart. That's the thing. And that's the thing, you know what I mean? He took that and turned it into basically something everybody could listen to. And that's why he's so good at what he does, because he's never going to fuck up. He's never going to put something out that doesn't sound good, because he literally knows like that this is what people would want to listen to, because like literally like he's that smart.
Yeah.
Because he studied it so long, you know what I mean? So
Right.
a lot of these people, like, you'd be surprised who actually took the time and actually went to college and studied this stuff. Like, I remember, like, you know, John Mayer?
Yes.
Went to Berkeley.
Mm-hmm.
When you're at Berkeley, you're studying with some of the best, like, cats, like, on the planet. You know what I mean? He dropped out, whatever, but...
I mean, that's where he learned.
That's where he learned. Like, he actually learned over there, you know what I mean? He knows what he's doing. He's like, if I walked up to him, like, you know what I mean? I could walk up to, like, one of the guitarists of, like, fucking, like, Leonard Skinner or some shit like that. He'd be like, oh, yeah, like, I just, like, you know, yeah, I play by ear. I don't really, like, know anything else. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's it, you know? And, but, like, with him, he's just like, yeah, I did this chord. Like, I learned this in school. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah, like, this makes sense because I learned this in school. Because they explained it to me. You know what I mean? I understand. I could put out original content and make it sound really good because I know exactly what I'm going to do. Like, I know exactly what I'm doing every single time.
Right.
Some of these other guys, like, you know, like, they're great. Don't get me wrong. Like legendary, you know what I mean? And they're original. But that's the thing. Like, if you brought them out to the session, like, you know, like Austin's, right?
Right.
Those motherfuckers are not gonna know what they do. Like, they're literally they're gonna go up there and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not gonna be good because they don't know what to do.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They're a band for a reason. Like, they write their original music and that's all they can do.
Yes.
And that's the big. But don't get me wrong, they get famous and they made a lot of money. You know what I mean? Which is dope, and that's great. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But really deep down, they don't have that foundation of like knowledge.
It's like that technicality, I guess, I guess not formal way, because but
it is formal though.
Yes. And the one of the easiest examples that you could say from like a drummer's perspective is just like the traditional grip with the match grip, and it's the most easiest thing to do. Just pick up two sticks, match, and just drum it out. Traditionally, you learn you learn a lot more ways to, but even though it's restricted and strict on a specific way,
it's a little harder.
It's a technical learning aspect in itself to kind of say, like, if you go this route, it kind of gives you a different perspective. But learning both ways obviously is a perk.
It's
for
helpful.
Anybody.
Yeah, it's helpful. You know what I mean? Like, exactly. Like, you know, like when I was learning the saxophone, like I was like basically just classical. You know what I mean? So I got a lot of that foundation out of that.
Yes.
Just doing that gave me the technique, the sound. You know what I mean? Properly, because I properly practiced, properly learned, and then I ventured into like my own thing, and then like, you know, took that foundation and then just turned it into what I wanted it to be. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing with anybody else. Like, I know like there's like this producer Joe Hertz, he makes like a bunch of like soulful house music. Bro, he's so killing, bro. But he's not like a formal like very proper like jazz musician, you know what I mean? Like, but he does know his shit because he's taken the time. Like, he probably didn't even study this shit in school, but he told, like, I've seen like some interviews, and I've like messaged him and talked to him a little bit, and he took the time to go to like, you know, the deep rooted sessions, like, you know, like Austin's, wherever in England, wherever he is, and he took the time to play with like really proper players, and he picked up a lot of the stuff they knew by doing that, and then he turned it into his own thing. You know what I mean? So like just doing that can literally just put you so far ahead. Like, because for me, I remember I was so proper in knowing I can read music, and my ear was never good. I always had a bad ear, so like I could not like hear things the way other people could hear things, right?
100%, yeah.
So I took the time.
So it's like a learned thing.
To learn that way of doing it, you know what I mean? And doing that, like, expanded the whole game for me. So also, like, you know what I mean? Like I'm saying all this stuff about people who haven't learned properly, but also they've learned just by ear, which is one of the best skills you could have.
One of the things I'm saying is that, like, I know when I was learning how to play guitar, they're like, why don't you pick a song that you really like to kind of influence how you play, maybe like to learn better, I guess. And when it comes to like a traditional sense, do you have to play stuff specifically to actually make you learn a specific thing? You know what I mean?
There's like a bunch of books that you can like just study out of, and you just like, you know, you learn scales, you learn like patterns and stuff like that to like get you better and
100%.
like just technique wise, and then you can start reading, like, because you know all these big band gigs that I do, they're all reading gigs. So you have to just be like nails. You have to just see it and you can already play it. You know what I mean? Just because I've studied so long, I know how to do it. You know what I mean?
It's like one of the best things a drummer told me is that like whenever you actually specifically learn how to like actually drum, it's in your bones. Like you can actually like be thinking about, oh man, what did I do for laundry? But you're still sort of kind of playing it, but it's because it's so ingrained in you. Is that how you're saying? Like once you kind of like read
it, it really comes down to muscle memory,
right?
Yeah,
dude, that's so crazy, man. I mean, one, you're a talented guy, like 100%. Anybody that doesn't know, like I've heard you, and you're one. I would say like one of the best one. Yeah, I haven't heard like
I feel you,
freaking. I haven't been in New York and heard all these fucking big.
Trust me,
people.
there are hundreds of people who could fucking.
I mean, 100%. I mean, I'm still like bottom tier drumming. If you could fucking put me somewhere, I'm like down here. But
I feel you.
But it's a thing, man. You're literally learning as you go, but also you have this whole technical side of you that you learn from, and because of that, that's kind of like literally like just shooting you to all these different like gigs and new opportunities and stuff like that. And I mean, do you feel that way? Like, especially,
absolutely.
Like, I'm not trying to like diss on any sort of musician out there, but it's just like, just don't look at COVID as something like, I guess you could say it's a setback.
I feel like with COVID, it was a setback.
Yes, 100%.
You know what I mean? But like, you just have to switch up your mindset. You can't you can't get locked into this dark place of like, man, my whole life just got, like, you know, is gone. Because that's what happened to me with music.
Right.
Basically, like,
I mean, I remember those talks. Like whenever,
remember
like,
you saw me at a dark time, bro. I
remember that.
Yeah, like I remember we were there and we were just, you know, like, dude, that was dark. Like 100%. I remember that day. I was like, man, like I'm just like, I'm letting you know like what is going on. This 100%. Is not good.
Nah, dude. Everybody gets there, bro. And that's why I wanted to bring you on. It's just because I try to have like a good balance, but when it comes to like a lot of different interests I have, but it's so hard to stay motivated, inspired to find people to talk to, because it's like, dude, COVID is just literally fucking fucked everything over. You know what I mean? But you're gonna hit dark spots, and I mean that's the best way. And I think one of the best ways to kind of end this is kind of for you to tell somebody, and maybe another musician, like what would you tell them, especially right now? Like what's Sebastian's best advice for them, I guess?
So like the way I look at it, from what I've done since it all started, right? I had my career was just getting nothing but it was going up, you know what I mean? I had things going for me. I literally, one of the top jazz clubs in the southeastern part of the United States, like, is called the Velvet Note over in Georgia. They book the top jazz musicians in the world, and my band got booked there. You know what I mean? I was like, you know, we like we're starting to make it. You know what I mean? Like, and like the tickets, it costs $32 to fucking come in and watch us. Like, you know what I mean? Like, bro, why is someone paying $32 to watch me play? You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy to think about sometimes. Like, I'm like, man, like this is crazy. Like, I'm really doing this shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm actually doing this. And then COVID killed it. And I remember like I took so much time off the horn. Like, I stopped playing. I literally stopped playing for like months. Like, I'll play like maybe like once or twice, or like 3 or 4 times. Like, you know what I mean? Play, but not really practice. I wasn't practicing anymore because I was just like, I just lost all motivation. I'm like, dude, like my livelihood is gone.
100%.
I have like no reason to fucking play anymore. Like, you know what I mean? There's nobody to play for. Like, this is just like, this kind of just killed my vibe. Like, dude,
dude, I remember even like you kind of like talking about it. Like, man, dude, I don't even know if I want to be doing this anymore. Like, I have to find another job or something like that.
Yeah.
Reality sort of kind of checks in.
Yeah,
you know?
It checks in, bro. Because you know I'm a 23-year-old, bro. Like, I don't
100%.
have, my life is like, you know, you get it. You know what I mean? Like,
I do.
This is not something that you can just like blow over. Like, I don't have my, like, I'm not like, I didn't go to school for engineering, go to school for pre-med. I didn't go to school for business. So, you know what I mean? Like, those jobs, like, you don't lose your jobs. Like, you know what I mean? Some people have, don't get me wrong, but like, you know, they will find, they can get right back in. Those are positions that, you know, can come right back.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Here it's like, dude, like COVID just killed like everything, like in the music industry. Probably half the venues in the country have probably already shut down.
Yeah, that's what's upsetting me.
Yeah,
bro.
exactly.
Like someone that goes to a lot of these things, I'm like, dang, this sucks.
Yeah,
it really does, man. It puts a damper not just on the venue side of it, but all
everybody,
the performer. Everybody.
You know what I mean? Like the listeners, the performers,
yes.
the business owners, everybody is just like, you know, it killed. It's
100%.
like the economy killed it. You know what I mean? And so like, you know. But the way you got to look at it is just like find brand new avenues that you've never explored before. Take the time to do those things that you told yourself you were going to do, that you wanted to do, but you just didn't have the time before. You know what I mean? Like for me, I was only playing saxophone. I've never done anything else besides play saxophone, play piano. You know what I mean? That's all I was doing. And then I remember like COVID happened. I had so much free time on me. I had all this like, you know what I mean? Like just all this free time. I'm like, man, like what can I do, bro? Like I don't even know what to do anymore. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm just like, let me think like, and I never thought about producing. Never even thought about it.
Because of it, it got you into a whole different avenue.
Exactly. Because of, yeah. So like, I remember I was like, you know, like I know some people who produce. I know some people who are like doing this. And like, I remember like one of my friends like really inspired me to get into it because he had just dropped like an album. He lives in Dallas. We went to UNC together. He's another saxophone player. And then he just dropped this dope ass album that he produced himself. You know what I mean? Mastered. And it's sick. Like it sounds good. Like, you know, it's super like chill vibes, like, you know what I mean? It's not, but it has some rooted jazz in it, kind of like Moonchild vibes, kind of like that, you know? And so like, I was just like, man, like, dude, like, this is sick, bro. Like, you just did this from your fucking apartment? And he was like, yeah, dude, like, you know, I was producing this whole time while I was at North Texas. Like, I was just like, yeah, I know you were, you know what I mean? I always thought I never got interested in it because, you know, I had my thing going for me already. So then I was like, man, maybe I should start doing this. Like, I should try this. I should finally make a studio at my apartment. Dude, like, you know what I mean?
100%.
And so I bought all the equipment because I, like, you know, I got into some money at the time because of, you know, unemployment. And then, so I was just like, yeah, like,
good.
Yeah, exactly. Don't get me wrong. I was broke for a minute.
100%, bro.
You know what I mean? It was an investment that, like, you know, I was broke. I was broke for a minute. You know what I mean? Like getting by.
Yeah, don't get it twisted, guys.
Yeah, don't get it twisted. Yeah, literally. So like, I remember, and I bought all this stuff, and then like, I literally taught myself how to produce, and now I'm like, you know what I mean? And that was my new way to stay in music and to still have some sort of fulfillment. Because you know, I mean, like, I'm not gonna say I was like, I sucked at first. You know what I mean? Now I'm actually like producing real songs. Like that actually I would consider sound good. I would actually put out, and I'm going to put them out soon. EP is coming.
Put a link down below once it does.
Once it does, like I will let you guys know. But yeah, like, you know what I mean? So that was the new avenue I went into. 100%. Like, you know, kind of like stopped with the jazz stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'm still available. I still do it. Everybody knows, but you know, literally you can't push, you can't make something happen that's just not happening. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so, you know, like I just went straight into like producing. I started learning how to do that, and that's what I was like going on about the rhythm stuff, like trying to become a better drummer, like in my head,
right?
Because I want to put something out that's like cool, you know what I mean? And so that's like I said, like just you have to find new venues, new ways, like new avenues, just new opportunities, change it up. You know what I mean? Literally switch it up. Right now, we're all going electronic, we're all going digital, right? So it's like, guys, like yeah, like if you're a gigging musician and you like, you know, your livelihood is gone. Get into producing, you know what I mean? Like, go do that. You could literally put out like an original song that is in like that realm of what people really want to listen to. That's not jazz necessarily, you know what I mean? So like, and you can make money just like that, like, you know 100%. What I mean? Or you could start producing like songs for singers, like vocalists. Who don't know how to produce, and then you start producing songs for them, and they'll buy your beats. Or like rappers who, like, you know what I mean? I just started getting rappers, literally like 3 rappers in Orlando who have followings. Just hit me up like, hey man, like, you know, like I can't really afford some of these really big time producers. They're asking for a lot of money for these beats, and I'm just like, man, I could put out a beat.
100%.
I could put out a beat literally, I can make a beat in like 20 minutes. Like one of these, like, cause like I already know, like I'm like, bro, this is so easy, like. And so like I literally make these trap beats for these rappers, throw me $100 for one beat. You know what I mean? I sell them like that. That's a side hustle I already got going on with everything else I already got going 100%. On. You know what I mean? So like, you know, producing already turned into money. Right. Just from that. You know what I mean? So that was my new avenue. So like, you know, things switched up, things got brighter, things got better. You know what I mean? The gigs will come back, but I already have this new thing that I'm enjoying so much.
That you don't even know. It's like,
I didn't even know I was going to love this. You know what I mean? Now I do. I love it. You know what I mean? So like it just how it works out. Like you just got to find new ways to put your time and effort in. You can't stay in that place, because I'm telling you, the second if you keep like staying in there, you'll get stuck, and you're gonna be stuck for a while, and it's not gonna get any better as time goes by. You know what I mean? Right. So like that's basically my advice on that.
Dude, that's the best way right there, man. We hit an hour and a half, believe it or not. We're still
yeah, I know. Dude, yeah, we've been talking for a minute.
Dude, no, 100%. We hit a lot of great points, man. I'm so glad I got you on, man. That's one thing.
I appreciate you bringing me on, bro.
Dude, 100%. You're gonna be back on. I hope you know that. Like I tell everybody, like, well, I'm pretty sure there's so many people out there, musicians or not, that just love like hearing about this stuff. Yeah. And I'm happy that I can still share some of those things, especially like, it doesn't matter where the fuck you are. Like you can be in like the most shitty situation, get the fuck out of it. Like, you know, and that's like, hence the reason, like you had like a downturn that you can just easily like get yourself back up, and it's fine. Yeah. But it's like these stories like this that I just love sharing. But dude, Sebastian, dude, thanks for coming on, dude. We were definitely going to be talking a lot more after this, and we're going to be like, for those of you that don't know, I'm going to put his link down below. I'm going to put everything down, that where you can reach him, his music, what he does, and hope you guys like it, because this dude is very talented. Sebastian, dude, any last remarks? Actually, tell people where they can find you, because actually, like, if for the audio version.
Yeah, so my name's Sebastian Dones. You can find me on Facebook.
Yes.
Sebastian_Dones on Twitter. Sebastian_Dones on Instagram. I just made a TikTok, but I don't really like
dabble in it
yet. Maybe one day. But same thing, Sebastian_Dones. I'm literally Sebastian_Dones everywhere. You can find me everywhere. I have a SoundCloud. I have a couple like songs on there, but I haven't really put out my new music yet, because I'm kind of trying to get into a pack first. Like, I'm gonna release a single at some point on like iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, Amazon Music. I will put it out at some point. It's gonna come out, so keep out a lookout. But if you want to see like my actual original content, just go on my Instagram. All my videos are there.
Like I said, this dude's a busy guy. Like, he does a lot of stuff, and he dabbles in a lot of things. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to conclude another episode of the Slice of Life podcast. Sebastian, thanks for coming on, man. We're going to finish here, brother.
All right.
Later, guys.